Welcome to Talk Fights. I'm Curtis Biggs. This Saturday night we have another great fight card to look forward to being put on by the UFC. It is UFC 274. The main card is absolutely fantastic. I can't wait for every fight. We're going to get it started off with Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Joe Lauzon. Both guys are veterans. They've been around quite a long time. Donald Cerrone especially has been around forever, from the WEC days rather, into his long career in the UFC. And Joe Lauzon has been quite around for quite a long time as well. He started his UFC career off with a big knockout of Jens Pulver, former lightweight champion Jens Pulver. Now both these guys are a little bit over the hill. Donald Cerrone is 39 and Joe Lauzon is 37. But more than the age, I think, is their chronological age is their ring age. Donald Cerrone has taken quite a few beatings in the ring. A lot of great fights as well, a lot of big wins. I mean, Donald Cerrone is just a fantastic fighter. But he's been on quite the downward spiral of over the last few years. He hasn't had a win since 2019. It was a decision win over Al Iaquinta. Since then, he was stopped by Tony Ferguson, got knocked out by Justin Gaethje, got knocked out by Conor McGregor. He's had a rough go over the last few years. Now, no easy opponents, certainly, but he's had a hard time. His last fight, he was knocked out in one round by Alex Morono. And Joe Lauzon was on a streak of losses as well. He won his last fight, but prior to that, he had lost a couple in a row. It is a very interesting fight of guys that are a bit past their prime. How's it going to go down? I think that Donald Cerrone's definitely got the skills to beat Joe Lauzon. They both have very similar records. Both Lauzon and Cerrone actually each have 17 wins by submission. And Cerrone has 10 knockouts, and Joe Lauzon has 9. Now, Cerrone has beaten a higher level of competition, I think, certainly, than Joe Lauzon. Cerrone has. But again, he's a bit over the hill, and he's taken quite a bit of punishment over the years. I think he's going to have a tough time winning in a striking match with Joe Lauzon. Not that Joe Lauzon is an amazing striker. He's very good, very capable striker, but just the way Cerrone is anymore, the way he's able to take a shot is not the way it used to be. I don't see him being successful in a striking match with Joe Lauzon. What I suspect is that he is going to try to avoid that and try to take Joe Lauzon down and try to submit him. It might be difficult. Lauzon's only been submitted 3 times, but Cerrone himself has only ever been submitted once. It was by Anthony Pettis. So I don't think he's in a ton of danger if he goes to ground with Joe Lauzon. And that's what I think Cerrone's going to do. I think he is a very smart fighter. I think he's going to try to win in whatever way he thinks is going to be easiest. What's going to happen? Is he going to be able to do that to Joe Lauzon? I'm probably going to say no, just because of the way he's looked in his last several fights. I'm going to say that Joe Lauzon is going to be able to get to Donald Cerrone with strikes, and I suspect he's going to stop him in probably the second round. After that, we have Mauricio Shogun versus Vincent Prue. Another battle of guys who are maybe a little past their prime. Both guys have fought a who's who of the light heavyweight division. Both guys had battles against John Jones years back, with Shogun being stopped, losing his title to John Jones, and Vincent Prue losing a pretty convincing decision to John Jones a few years ago. Now, Shogun and OSP did fight as well a couple years ago, with OSP stopping Shogun with strikes. That's kind of what I suspect to happen again. I'm a huge fan of Mauricio Shogun. I've been a huge fan of his since his days in Pride fighting, but I just don't think he has it in him anymore. He's 40 years old, and he's been in war upon war over the years. I do suspect that Vincent Prue is going to stop him again. And I'm going to say probably a second round knockout as well for Vincent Prue against Mauricio Shogun in this bout. After that, who do we we have next? It would be Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson. Another very, very interesting fight. Tony Ferguson's been on a bit of a slump of late, and Mike Chandler's had a hard time since he's come into the UFC as well, with no easy fights. Mike Chandler won his first fight against Dan Hooker in a very convincing first-round stoppage. He then lost to Charles Oliveira by knockout for the vacant title, and after that he lost in an excellent fight, fight of the year against Justin Gaethje. So against Tony Ferguson, I think that if Michael Chandler wants to beat Tony Ferguson, he probably will use something similar to the blueprint used by Justin Gaethje in their fight. Stay at a distance, a lot of leg kicks, a lot of punches on the way out. I think that Mike Chandler does have the power to stop a guy like Tony Ferguson, very much the same way that Justin Gaethje did. Now, Tony Ferguson himself is a very dynamic, very unorthodox fighter. He can be coming at you with all kinds of different stuff, spinning attacks and elbows. He's got a very good jab, and he's got a very good front kick. It should be interesting to see how this plays out. I suspect that Michael Chandler is going to get the best of Tony Ferguson. I think Ferguson just isn't what he was even a few years ago, even right up to that loss against Gaethje. He just hasn't been the same since then. I don't think that Chandler's going to be able to stop Ferguson. Ferguson is he's very durable and he's very good on the ground. He's likely not going to get caught in a submission. I don't suspect that Chandler's going to be able to pound him out, but I do think he's going to beat him. I think he's going to be able to take it to him for all 3 rounds of this bout, and I think he's going to win a convincing unanimous decision. After that, we have a strawweight title fight for the women's strawweight title. It would be Carla Esparza versus the champion, Rose Thug Namajunas. Another interesting fight, another rematch. Carla Esparza did lose to Thug Namajunas a few years back, and it would be the only submission on Namajunas' win record is the win against Carla Esparza. Now, has Esparza done enough in the years since then? Has improved enough to be able to come back and beat someone like Rose Namajunas? I don't think that she has. Namajunas is coming off 2 big wins over Weili Zhang, a huge head kick knockout in their first bout about a year ago, and then really beat her up in a decision 6 months ago thereabouts. I think she's going to be able to do the same thing to Carla Esparza. I don't think she's going to be able to stop her. Namajunas is a very strong fighter. That knockout of Weili Zhang was excellent, was beautiful. But she's not really known for knockouts. She's not a huge power puncher, power striker by any means. And again, she's only got the 1 submission win over Carla Esparza, but I don't think she's going to be able to do it to her again. I think Esparza will be watching for that. I think this is going to be a very tough back and forth fight, but I do think that Namajunas is going to be able to pull out the decision in the end. In our main event, we have a very good bout, a very interesting bout for the 155-pound title with the lightweight champion, Charles Oliveira, taking on the #1 challenger, Justin Gaethje. This is a great fight. I mean, I really can't wait to see how this turns out. Charles Oliveira has a record of 32 wins with 8 losses, while Justin Gaethje has a record of 23 wins with 3 losses. Now, Oliveira has 20 submissions in those 30 wins, and Justin Gaethje has 19 knockouts in his 23 wins. So it would almost look like a submission fighter versus a striker kind of match. But certainly both these guys do possess all of those things. They're very well-rounded, both these guys. Justin Gaethje has excellent wrestling. He's only got 1 submission on his record, but he does certainly possess submissions. He just seems a little happier to go in there and bang it out with guys. And he's certainly got the ability to knock people out. So why not use it? Charles Oliveira has 9 knockouts on his record. And he's knocked out some very capable competition. For example, Michael Chandler, he fought in their last fight. A couple of fights ago rather, when they fought for the interim title. The vacant title, pardon me. Mike Chandler and Oliveira fought for the vacant title. And Oliveira was able to stop Chandler in a very convincing performance. So against Justin Gaethje, I I think he's going to have a different game plan than he did against Mike Chandler, or than he even did against Dustin Poirier. He had an excellent performance against Dustin Poirier, was able to outstrike him and then work his way into a submission where he took Poirier's back and choked him out. Stopped him with submission. I think he's going to need to look for those submissions against Justin Gaethje, but I don't think he can go about it the same way. I don't think he can get the better of him in the striking and then try to take him into that world of submissions. I think he's got to be going for that takedown, going for that submission right away, or he's going to end up in a lot of trouble. Justin Gaethje has just got unreal power, and I don't think he's going to take those same shots from Justin Gaethje that he was able to take from Dustin Poirier. These guys are just a different level of power, and it's not going to work out very well for Oliveira if he gets into a striking match with Justin Gaethje. But I don't think that he will. Oliveira is a very smart fighter. I don't think he's going to put himself in unnecessary danger. Now, Gaethje, as I mentioned, is a very good wrestler, and he's going to be trying to defend those takedowns from Oliveira. So that's going to be, I think, the name of this, or the story of this fight, is whether or not Oliveira can get Gaethje down and try to lock on a submission, or whether or not Gaethje is able to keep it on the feet and force Charles Oliveira to strike with him. As I said, probably not a very good idea for Charles Oliveira. So how is it going to go down? I think that Oliveira will be able to get the best of Justin Gaethje. I think he's going to go on there and strike a little bit up first, try to be very careful, not going too wild, but trying to land some good shots, take Justin Gaethje's mind off the takedown, and then Oliveira should fly in for that takedown and lock on a submission any way he can. Whatever he can get a hold of, whether it's an arm or a leg or the neck, could be a lot of trouble for Justin Gaethje. Oliveira's proved that he's just excellent at jiu-jitsu, and Gaethje could be in a lot of trouble if Oliveira gets him down. And that is what I do suspect to happen. I'm seeing a third-round submission for Charles Oliveira against Justin Gaethje. So it should be a great night of fights. There's nothing boring on the undercard either. It looks like a great night. The main card is amazing. I cannot wait for every fight. Be looking forward to it this Saturday night. See you at the fights.
All right.
Yeah, secret power.
My secret power is sadness.